Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think you're not bullish enough. Welcome to another edition of XFeed. My name is Schiller. I've been talking about NFTs, crypto, and that kind of stuff for a while. Through the goods, through the bads, through the crazies. Not just the people, but everything that just seems to happen every single day. We're going to go over crypto news, check the headlines, see if anything catches our attention. We're going to go through Bitcoin again. We talked about it briefly yesterday. If you missed it, well, guess what? It flew. It absolutely flew. We're seeing ecosystems starting to pop off. We're seeing certain game variants pop off. You can see the renewed energy, and all that matters is that other people care about it, and that's one of the biggest issues I continuously say is everybody is siloed into whatever the hell they like, and it's becoming more evident because you'll have some people that are super happy about things and other people that are not. But then when they go over and see the excitement, then they're happy. And then they're like, oh, right, I forgot. I'm supposed to stay open-minded and look at what is going on. And Dolly, what is going on? Good sir, how are we? Okay. Crypto news right off the start, and this is going to be from CoinDesk, all right? So take it with a grain of salt, but here's all the latest crypto news regarding the headlines. So think about, the interest level, because we're going to compare and contrast this to looking up just strictly NFT news. So top stories, Crypto Daybook, America's Bitcoin, Crypto Daybook Americas. Bitcoin defies peak fear as US dollar plunges over Trump's China trade war. 2 hours ago, killing the IRS DeFi rule is an industry win, but it's a temporary one. APX Lending secures $20 million funding amid rising demand for crypto-backed loans in Canada. Yo, Canada making the news. Hell yeah. CoinDesk 20 performance update, index gains 3.5% as all assets trade higher. Is this really exciting so far? Not really. Go over to NFTs. Trader takes $10 million loss on rare CryptoPunk as NFT rout worsens. And then another one. CryptoPunk's NFT sells for $6 million in Ethereum at a $10 million loss. And then OpenSea asks SEC for clarity on NFT marketplace rules. And there's apparently a business called NFT News Today. But what do you prefer on the headlines? We're also live over on Abstract. Yeah. But Palantir, right? We're shaking up the systems across the world. Palantir announces something new. It says college is broken. Admissions are based on flawed criteria. Mediocrity and excellence are no longer the pursuits of educational institutions. They just want your money. And chaos has ensured on university campuses. Starting today, Palantir is launching a fall fellowship for the best and brightest graduating high school students. Based solely on merit and academic excellence, students will be invited for interviews. Select applicants will receive an internship offer at Palantir. Upon completion, successful interns will be offered at a full-time role. Okay, so let's look at the headline here for this as a second, saying college is broken. And I'm trying to think of back to when I was in college. And for the studies, there were certain things that were like absolutely transformative into like skill sets, understanding certain things. When I think about it, the fact that I almost failed the enunciation class, like when you say Toronto, Toronto, right? You gotta say the T's where possible, and same with numbers, right? You say that out loud. 80. Most people say 80. It's not like that emphasis, right? You learn. And I was like, okay, that's something I learned about. But then there's good teachers, there's bad ones. And that's more in reference to like retired ones that are like, yeah, here's a YouTube video. All right, have yourself a good day. And you're like, what are we paying for? But it is a broad, good question, especially when there's so many different niches that need to be covered, and certain people aren't able to get access to certain situations or educators. And so how does that get more online? How does that get better? How do systems end up changing a little bit? It'll be fun to watch. Smoot. The funniest thing about Web3 is how people on the outside think it's BS, but us on the inside know that's not true because we know and follow all the builders, but then all the builders just go and build us BS and prove everyone on the outside right anyway. Okay, so it's kind of funny, but it's basically just ragging on the aspect there's a lot of things in crypto that just people are like, why? And the gang token, the Gutter Cat gang token that came out last night that we're about to get into, that's one of the things that's like, what are we doing? Right? Doesn't make any sense. But I think arguably everyone would take the position, apart from the fact that like they're glad that they have the knowledge, but to re-enter the space right now. Because you look at whatever the hell you're into and you're like, oh my goodness, that's a decent price. This has a ton of potential. Obviously, you're more educated right now, but I think most people would be generally jealous and want to redo all of their allocations into crypto, NFTs, etc. now versus back when they originally did a few years ago. Or maybe you did the same. Yo, Frost, what's going on? And so that's kind of the theme of things. But Moon here with a scam post, as we always try to highlight different scam things that are sometimes obvious and sometimes not. Let's dissect. I haven't fully read this, but I saved it when I saw it. I almost got scammed by a fake collab offer. Here's how I spotted it in time. If you're a creator, read this. Might save you from falling from the same trick. I usually just look at it and be like, yeah, nobody wants to talk to me, so these are all scams anyway. And then if they're like really persistent and like we have a couple mutuals, and then it's like, okay, you kind of get the good vibes. And it's like, all right, maybe we'll have a conversation. Most people, I'll just take a triple double pepperoni pizza. Thank you very much. An account called Stavax reached out claiming to rep Avalanche and offering me an ambassadorship. So first of all, right, I don't know. Does Moon cover Avalanche? Authentic, intuitive, rewriting rules, trying creative with strategy and analyst thinking. I manage your social media to grow loyal clients, relations, and trust. Okay. So they're about helping people run accounts, and Avalanche potentially looking for help for this. Feels like that would be kind of weird for Avalanche to do a cold call in such a way, because if they put out their job resume, they would probably get like a bajillion applicants, but maybe Moon is the person that they really, really want. The name felt sus, but I thought, let's see. I started wondering how much they'd pay. Something didn't add up. I remembered reading about AVAX DAO, and that just fell off. As I'm not so deep in the AVAX community, I am not that familiar with the accounts and things. So this right here is like just like the self-awareness thing. Okay, so I'm not an AVAX at all, but they want to work with me. Now, that's not like a bad thing, right? Because every ecosystem wants like attention from outside, but it feels like, hey, if you're going to be running all the stuff there, you probably want to have some familiarity with it. So I asked the AVAX queen, Vincent Van Holm, if she'd heard of it. She immediately replied, total scam. These have been floating around for a while. Cue mini panic. I searched on Next, and yep, others have been warned about it. Okay. So again, just like self-reflection, going through it, even before knowing like 100% this is a scam, you can get the vibe, so always watch out for yourself. True. Lads, maybe it's time to sell your soul. Cato Yappers just absolutely cooked on the prompt token generating event, while loyal supporters that staked Prime for years got absolutely wrecked. I'm not reading all of this, but I do find it like super strange that was like kind of the thing. And obviously, everybody that has staked their Prime, they still have the Prime, I'm assuming, and they're getting this prompt token. But it does just always feel kind of bad when there's somebody that's outside of an ecosystem that ends up kind of winning almost more than the people in it. And like as a different relatable respect to something I've followed within Fluff World, they did this Third Kingdom game, and we're going to be doing videos and other stuff about that. But essentially, they gave a whole bunch of other collections free NFTs. So Pudgy Penguins, Cool Cats, Dead Fellas, Doodles, and I want to say maybe there was a fourth, but I don't know. And it wasn't all of them. It was like 50% of the collections, or there was like a handful based off of scores, whatever, in their various ecosystems. But it felt sort of weird that it was all of these people that got this free land that they were able to sell. And at the time they were going for, $500 to $1,000, whatever it was, because it was perceived these were going to be very hard to get because they were so small. And not that that's wrong, but just the demand around the ecosystem, and take forever explaining it. But that's kind of a similar thing where it's like, all right, somebody outside of the ecosystem won. Do we know if the people like the Kaido Yappers are actually going to stay with prompt? Or are they just going to dump it? Good talking about it? I don't know. This is all like an emotional game. It's cool that people care about all this stuff, right? Because we got things to talk about. But when you compare and contrast, you're like, everything's crazy. We're committed to advocating for clear, sensible regulation for NFTs and crypto, and proud to represent the community. This is coming from D. Finzer, CEO over at OpenSea, saying, read our letter to the SEC on our suggested approach. So, dear Commissioner Pierce, Ozone Networks Inc., or OpenSea, I didn't know OpenSea was owned by Ozone Networks. Have you guys ever heard that term before, or name? I haven't. Based in the United States, is the world's first digital marketplace for non-fungible tokens. We are grateful for the opportunity to provide input to the crypto task force as it takes on the important work of reviewing the Securities and Exchange Commission's approach to digital assets. So, second question I have for you while we're on the topic. Was OpenSea the world's first digital marketplace for NFTs? Like, is that actually true? Obviously, it wasn't back when it first came out, but I didn't know that it was first. Interesting. Unless they're just saying that, because everybody says they're first, and it's a stupid argument. Anyway, in this submission, we address why NFT marketplaces like OpenSea are not exchanges or brokers under the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, and what steps the Commission should take to conform this non-regulated status. At the outset, yo, boss, you're saying no? Roz, you have no idea. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Are they just saying that? And we say, sir. At the outset, we note that NFTs are not securities under the Exchange Act. Among other reasons, most NFTs are collectibles or art, purchased primarily for consumption, novelty, or aesthetic value rather than for investment. Cue the Bitcoin discussion. Oh, here we go. Stoner Cats. This point aligns with your dissenting statement, concerning the Stoner Cats enforcement action, which noted that the Commission must take care to preserve the ability of artists to sell their work, build a fan base, and involve the fan base in future creative endeavors. While the non-security status of NFTs is beyond the primary scope of this submission, OpenSea stands ready to. I have no idea. Okay, we got to read the whole thing apparently later, but there you go. Reddit is making $200 million selling your posts. That's disrespectful. Apple paid $50 million for news. PhotoBucket charges $2 per image. As Anna points out, as data becomes more valuable, the internet becomes less open. All right, let's hear your fun clip of the day.
Companies have realized that if they have a lot of data or very high quality data, it's very valuable, right? So Reddit is earning $200 million from selling data. PhotoBucket, $1 to $2 an image. Apple is paying $50 million for news data. And alongside that shift, where their revenue has grown from selling data for AI training, they've also tried to make the internet less and less open, right? So like Stack Overflow, Reddit, many other platforms have actually changed their API terms of service to make it harder to access that data. And that has, one, let them charge more money for their data, which is kind of the rational thing to do from their perspective, but also made it a lot harder to create better AI models. Companies have realized that if they have a lot of data.
Okay, so I just realized that my my amplifier app wasn't on, but we watched it, so I hope you enjoyed that clip. But the talk about AI, it's getting bigger and bigger every day. Actually, it looks like they might have been. I didn't realize they opened in 2017. I thought Rarible was first. Isn't it weird how Rarible like just isn't? It feels like it's just like not a thing anymore. What happened? What happened? Holy shiza! 4 million. Sorry, 4,000. Imagine 4 million ETH. Holy. 4,000 ETH, $6 million CryptoPunk sale. One of the aliens, talk of the town for like a minute. I still feel like the Bitcoin discussion, like yesterday was the most ridiculous day ever if you think about it. And I'm trying to remember if yesterday was actually the day or maybe it was the day before. But it was like prompt TGE. You had the Bitcoin going super viral. You have the $4,000 punk sale. In the middle of the night, you have Gutter Cat Gang launching their token for basically $0. Like there's just a ton of crazy things that have happened. But it was a 500 ETH loss or $10 million with the way that the ETH price has gone. They previously purchased this in March of 2024. Wait, no, hold on a second. So they bought it here. Wait, what? So they bought it in March? I don't know how to read these. You can't even see. Why'd they cut out everything? What are we doing? Unbelievable. They got wrecked. True. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter finding out the exact dates. They got wrecked. That's that's all we need to say. Punks OTC bringing an interesting perspective because I think that this is something that's happened for different NFTs that have like niche communities within its collective, right? Like the Spirit DAO. They did buy it back in 2024. Okay, so a year later, they're like, yeah, we're out of here. I remember there was a while in Discord when several alien owners would chat there, hang out, etc. These days, are any of the owners public? Any of them still hang out there? That's a good question. And almost a mix of, you want people that are super active in the space to have these things because like it feels like a power symbol. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, there's somebody that really believes in all the stuff that we love all the time. But then there's some people that just buy things and then they hide. And they're like, you know what? We're good. We're happy kind of being in the shadows and popping out when we need to. So art is a fickle thing. If you've seen the Bitcoin game, I got into it like a day ago and then everything absolutely mooned. And I was like, wow, that was interesting timing. So basically, you have this little room, right? And you can get like a potato miner if you spend like $15 and it gives you like less than one of the coins a day. Then you can upgrade if you have more. You can expand to buy like the room itself to go up, and it costs like 70 big, which is a lot because now the tokens are like $15 a pop. Okay? So everybody's just loving the visuals of this because it's something that like they're familiar with. It can represent something, and it's got like the good vibes right now. Kind of like Good Vibes Club. It's funny because that was the talk of the town, and then every single week we go through some other thing. So somebody posted this, and it was just like a 4K rig in 4K. Love it. Then I saw this was funny. All grown men want. It's like the top miner within this game. But this is like stupid how nuts this has gone. To the point where yesterday, this is 5:35, right? So they spent $8,600 on one of the miners within this game. It's all theoretical, but it's like a real token, right? It doubled, so what they spent is now $16,000. And people are making like several thousand a day on this right now, and the virality of it, the way that they have the entire ecosystem flowing through each other with like the burn mechanics with minting, the referrals, yada, 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 yada. They've got enough demand where it's like seeming to be sustainable. When will the greater fools arrive? True, that is the question. Well, see, that was the thing. I was like, all right, so $15 got in. That's cool. And then I think it was like to buy two of the things at the time, it was like $50 or something. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. And then it's like, okay, everything is like way too costly. But this is opening doors, conversations, and the perspective that, damn, maybe there is more on the gaming front, and we just needed that one title to lift them all, if you will. So Bus here from Portals, which is the Solana metaverse platform. If you like the style of game, Portals recently launched a similar style game where you upgrade space fleets and deploy them in battle. People have been creating guilds to battle in groups. Our top players are making $20,000 a day, and the fully diluted value of the game token currently is under $700,000. So we went from, you're not gonna say a thing about yields, making money, anything, the SEC is going to shut us down, don't use that verbiage or you're fired. Yo, show me some sugar, baby. It's crazy. I love it. It's hilarious. But wow, what an absolute 180. But this is the thing, right? Because now we compare and contrast because, all right, that's, you know, a legitimate thing. And for myself, like I've been playing the Third Kingdom game and I think I'm getting like 15,000 mycelium, which is basically like 15,000 root a day from playing that game. So then you're like, all right, so if you put that amount in the Bitcoin, you're going to get this. If you put this amount within this game, you're going to get this. But like for the TTK one, it's almost too hard to get into right now. I'm curious how that ends up changing because it feels like if you join now, you're just going to be like way late. And it's going to be hard to like do anything meaningful for unless there seems to be like a much broader scope of, hey, you're playing for a significantly long game within these sort of games where obviously with some of them, you're like, this is going to be over in like 2 seconds. Make APR great again. True. It's surprising to see so much focus on the next meme coin when Think is actively developing technology that could rival giants like Google. They're building groundbreaking AI, personal agents, and tools that put you at the forefront of innovation. Okay. So let's talk about this for a second. I know we got a couple of the apes in the house. So hell yeah. Are the games sustainable long term, or does it feel like a couple week thing? So I looked it up, and Wolf Game. If you guys remember Wolf Game when it was like as crazy as it was, it peaked 5 days after launch. This is day 4 or 5, maybe 6 for Bitcoin. So just to put, yeah, I remember. Beauty. So that's where it is. So is this a top? What happens from there? People are thinking, hey, maybe there's a chance for it to be long term, but we'll see. Okay, so for Think, this thing is weird. This thing is weird to me because it is a merger from a different company and the AI arm of Futureverse. Now, why is that weird? It's not. But what's happened is I've seen a ton of people that are within the Yuga ecosystem sharing the shit out of this, and I felt like they never talked about any of it before. So I'm like, I don't know if there's something going on with certain individuals that might be, investors, advisors, whatever would think, or if they've had previous relationships with the team. And I'm kind of also curious if like any of you guys have heard of it before. So again, it's the Think protocol. But what I want to play for you is a clip from it because I went through it. Obviously, we don't want to listen to like an hour-long space, but there's 2 minutes. And how do I want to present this? So the mint. So the mint itself is going to happen where they have. I'm just bringing this up because I want to just add the visuals to it. Sorry, I know this is super funky, but there's a rhyme and a reason for it. So within this mint, so this is like a super friggin' expensive mint. Remember the Wolf Game IRL auction dinner? Bruh. So I don't know if I've ever told this story, and it was pretty weird. I shouldn't say like it's weird. It was just, it's one of those like feel bad things in a way. So during NFT NYC, it was like the second year, I believe, a lot of collections decided they were going to go out and host some sort of event. And Pixel Vault decided they were going to do something a little bit different. And they were going to have like a food crawl from some of, I want to say it was like the Chinese markets, but it was like a little food sampling area in New York. It was cool. They had a couple of other events that I'm not remembering off the top of my mind, but then there was a New York Yankees game. And there was people that sold the tickets, and I bought 2 of them. And we go to the game, and it's like, it's really cool because it's not like, I've never been to Yankee Stadium before, but like, wow, was it like the fan, the atmosphere, the whole thing? It's very, very different than what it was for like the Blue Jays. And then so we end up going to our seats, and I don't think anybody really has like an idea of like how this is supposed to work. Is it just tickets? Are we doing anything extra, etc.? And so there's 2 people as soon as we get to our seats that like up and leave to go get food. And then the team's like, hey guys, like we're going to go to like the special lounge and like we're covering all your food and everything. And I was like, hell yeah. And I'm like, yo, those 2 people just got totally boned though. we gotta go catch them down. And I remember that happening. It's being hilarious. And there was like a judge walk off on it. It was a great game. Great game. Okay, back on track. Holy smokes. Quit getting me sidetracked, SmackDown. Jesus. Okay, so for this bundle that is 0.27 ETH, so like, whoa, really expensive, right? But let's discuss. The Think Agent bundle for all the things you need to own an AI agent built on the Think protocol. By buying, you are securing the following, all right? The first edition Think Agent, powered by non-fungible intelligence, an allocation of the Think tokens to power interactions with this agent, a 10% chance to receive a $10,000 Think bonus, right? So you get more token. Digital art from Basic, which has several pieces that are going for like an ETH plus. An exclusive access to early protocol features like Think, Take, Tank, staking. So this is the component where it sounds like there's supposed to be a feed of tokens that potentially goes to this exclusive group off the rip. All right. So now that we've given the context, unless I've lost you, which is okay, we've got to rein you back in. Here's a 2-minute clip of them talking about why, right? And you guys can FUD it. You can tell me if you like it. I'm curious.
So when you have one Think agent, you can do a lot under it. You can create many personas, many databases, many things like that. Now, what we're talking about though, and like I'm trying to like say the quiet part as loud as I can, is these first edition Think agents are way more than just an agent, right? So not only do you get this art from Basic, and you can go up and look at what his fine art transacts for, to just kind of understand even just being part of this thing, kind of like the collectible ticket you get in the door. Everybody's going to get one of those. Number two, now you're going to get an agent, right? That agent is going to act as your user account within Souls. There's other partners like AI Agent Run that are planning to incorporate this as soon as we release it. So that, like, imagine that you can take your agent across all of these different platforms and they're able to talk with each other, right? So that's what you get there. But the biggest thing here is that the Think network itself, you can think about the Think network almost as like a tree. And like on a tree, kind of the bottom trunk like is big, right? And it's when the sugar comes down, it's able to I don't know, the early people get the emissions basically, right? So there's this thing that's like, there's 1 billion total tokens, 300 million of them are going into a growth fund. The entire point of it, network growth of agents, and then to encourage growth of new products being on top of it. And so the people who get their agents in the first edition are the tokens come pre-staked. And so as soon as you have that, of that, 300 million Think tokens, 3% of that every month are going to go into the staked agents. And so think about this as like all the credits you would need to be able to try new things, to upgrade, to be able to buy additional software, to be able to reinvest or take someplace else with you. So this network very intentionally is designed to be like a network like America, where if you get there first, your agent is a node, kind of like if you were the first person to LA or San Francisco and you got the prime land, like the emissions are going to be really healthy for having been there. Does that make sense?
Okay, so obviously they're giving a sales pitch, right? So you always take that with a grain of salt of like people are selling you on the idea. Now, I've talked to Mikey before. Hopefully, gonna have him on the show at some point. Lovely guy. But when the rest of the conversation really put an emphasis of they want to be the people who beat OpenAI. Now, listen, that's bold as hell. Bold as ever. True. But then when they talk about the sugar in the trees, and you're like, hold on, if I get an agent, I'm going to have the sugar from the trees of being in New York when it first came out. What? Absolutely. So if anybody's got like $2,000 or something, and you're like, yo, Schiller, my man, what's going on? You want to get me some Think agents? Hell yeah. But this is the thing, right? So this is kind of the debate is, okay, so it's 0.27 ETH per. So we're looking at like 1.2 if you're trying to like max mint, which is 5 per wallet. Obviously, you can make more wallets, but like, what are you going to do? And if this is actually something that could be on the same wavelength of challenging OpenAI, and you're able to get into it for 0.27, back to the point that we were originally brought up of like, hey, like people are talking about meme coins and all this other stuff, but these guys are trying to rival what the likes of Google are doing. If you have money to throw around, have fun, I guess. Just feels like every other crypto scam. Personally, don't take risks like that, in my opinion, because my wallet can't fund it. But I don't know. Just, hey, man, hell yeah. But no, this is good, right? But it's serious conversation of like, people are legitimately saying they are trying to take down some of the biggest companies in the world in Web3, having the AI aspect, having the blockchain aspect, having this whole network effect. And you feel burned out in a way because it's like, all right, a lot of people have had different aspirations or wanting to do this, that, or the other thing. But at the same time, arguably, everything has been slower than one would anticipate. So maybe, Yuga still might be the biggest brand in the world one day, but it's like probably not going to happen like this year type of deal. But eventually it could. And so these big aspirations everybody has, how do you react to things? How are you supposed to play it? And again, from the speculative standpoint, it's like if that first agent has access to that think tank and you're getting that like 3% or whatever it is of tokens like every single month, that sounds brilliant, especially if not many people end up being a part of it. Then you have the question of like, all right, would this thing ever be a flip, or does this thing just end up going down immediately after mint itself and you could get it cheaper afterwards? There's just a ton of different, like, how do you play it? I hold Rift from Dookie. I think there will be massive winners in AI, though. Yo, you really hold a Rift? Nah, that's unbelievable. That's crazy. I was thinking the other day, I was like, I forget what the name of the company that acquired it was, but I was like, no, it's far away. I remember. And you might also remember the Doge Pound. It's still around. Shout out John Lemon. Always come by the stream a few times. But series on Netflix minted the rise and fall of the NFT. And the background, or wherever they paused it, is showing off some of the Doge Pound on OpenSea. It's funny when you see this stuff. And you're like, yeah, we were the community that these people watch as a reality TV show on Netflix. Well, not a reality TV show, but you got to get the idea. You watched it. Was it good? I'm curious. I haven't seen it. I didn't even know that was a thing. Wait, what? I helped start that at first. Discord manager. Yo, really? Did you? Hell yeah. Yo, you've been around forever then. Yo, early contributor. Get that man an abstract badge. It was okay. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, it was okay. I would have thought it better being about NFTs. So Guttercat Gang stealth dropped their token last night. They did it on Ape Chain. They put 21,000 in liquidity, but they had a raise for it and did a pre-sale. And then I saw like the founder going out and commenting, yeah, we're going to start from zero and go from there. I'm sorry. What are we doing? What are we doing? It's so weird. There's a problem with almost too many tokens. We've talked about it. You don't really know how to react to things, right? Like, saturation is good because it's like the quality will stand out. But it's like, why are we even doing these things? What's the purpose? Is it some sort of like speculation? And I can get it, but I totally understand why people say, oh, new narratives, new things or whatever are going to be more popular. Because it is way more exciting when that ends up being the case. A lot of people we know on there, shit's weird. Yo, okay. It's on Canadian Netflix. I don't know. Okay, well, I gotta check that out later. Hello? Oh. Okay. So I had like a theory about like depicting a story from this, and I feel like I completely forget. So I look like a complete clown. But let's walk through this and maybe it'll come back to me. So within League of Legends esports, Korea. Oh, I remember now. It's about people being like very set in their ways and whatever they're into, they're like into and they don't care. They just do not care. All right. Phenomenal. So League of Legends, there's a team called T1. One of their players has been substituted at points for this new upcoming rising star. And like this kid is phenomenal, right? But the fan base hates it. Like they've lost their mind. They've had to do like PR statements. They've had to taken out the younger new player because of the backlash from the fans. Because of how diehard they are of like this group of player that's in the main thing. The player in question that's like the younger kid is called Smash. That's his like gamer name. And then the other one's called Gumayusi. And this is like a prime example of how to depict the NFT market and all these communities when everybody's just like, listen, I like what I like and I don't care about anything else. And I almost wish that they didn't exist. Now, a lot of people are open-minded and cool with it, but I think on the baseline level, the amount of cares that people have for anything that's not specifically what they have, apart from like entertainment news, which, you know, hell yeah, do this every day. Love hanging out with you guys. It's just some perspective. People are very, very set in their ways. Ubisoft claims players don't own the games they buy. Oof. Just a limited license to access them. Oof. It's highlighted in a lawsuit over the shutdown of the crew. Again, gamers, the switch to turn people like bullish on Web3 gaming and everything like that is just keep telling people, you don't own anything, you're renting this, you're literally living in Blockbuster. If they're a certain age group, they won't get that, but if they aren't, they'll understand. But like, do you remember back in the day when you rented a game system for a weekend or a week? You know, and then remember when you were able to actually own that game system. Remember the difference. That's a banger line. We gotta copyright that one. That's a good one. Web3 thoughts dump. All right, Jonathan Long coming through with some thoughts. Let's see what he's got to say. Personal option and views incoming. I think opinion is what they meant. Not saying they are right. It's just how I feel. Web3 turned into pure Ponzi's and speculative gambling. No comment. Almost non-existent is the experience element, and to me, that was the best part. I'm trying to think. So My Effin' Pickle was a collection back in the day that you were able to smash on a pickle jar that didn't matter, but then the reveal ended up happening. Yuga has done several different game iterations for prizes that were unique, cool, and like a smaller group that anybody could play for. So like Apes vs. Mutants, if you've never played it, it was a game anybody could get into. And it was more just about grinding than being like really good at the game, if that makes sense. And that was fun, and it was an experience. And there's other ones, but I mean, sure, I kind of agree that like the experience aspect is like a little bit lower. I mean, what do we have right now? Like the Bitcoin thing, you watch an animation go over and over and over again, and it shows you go up in tokens. Hell yeah, that's the most exciting thing in the Web3 space right now. So fair. When BAYC was getting new athletes and high-level CEOs joining, I'm not even talking about the MoonPay celebrity onboarding. It was because they wanted to be part of the mysterious and exclusive element. Yes, everybody was online all the time. Many of them didn't even claim airdrops. The dogs, ApeCoin, or Deeds. I'm pretty sure Steph Curry hasn't claimed certain things, or somebody made a post about that forever ago. I don't know why I remember that. They came from the experience, for the experience, but then came the gamblers, and it honestly killed the fun part. Sure, number go up is fun, but then when it cannot sustain, it's just complaining, bitching, and miserable people, which pushes away a lot of the people that came from the experience, come for the experience. Okay, so how do you react to this? So I would say, like, if you've played in the other side game demos, like, I was pretty harsh on, like, certain components of it, of, like, the updates felt like kind of, it was kind of the same game over again. They got, like, a bajillion followers. How in the world they go for, like, a world record-breaking attempt to get, like, 1,700 people, but then they had to do twice to it, and, like, stupid stuff like that, right? But is that because, you know, you pay too much for the deeds, and then people that are just trying for free view it completely different? And it's like an expectations component where it's like, sure, we can call it gambling, but also this is just the way that things were for sale, or how things have flushed out, or going down. But generally, there's a lot of people that are miserable online. That's why you read stuff and you're kind of just like, well, I've been having a good time. One of the most popular nightclubs in Miami and in the world, 11, has been crypto forward for so many years and dropped an NFT that provided some club perks like no line, comped admission, but also experiences. From private food tastings to roundtable and fireside talks with some brilliant people, those experiences were great, but the majority of minters had no interest in that stuff. They only wanted the price to go up. Well, this is about like setting expectations and things, right? Because you go into something, and I mean, like Gary V's Fly Fish Club. Remember that? It was supposed to be like access to this restaurant. It's super fancy, hard to get into. And like, obviously people were buying that thinking, hey, I'm going to get some extra perks. We're going to be able to sell it off for other people. But it's also like Rolling Loud, which we have. So I actually talked to the team at Rolling Loud. If you're familiar with like the big concert, they have a lot of music festivals around the globe, and they have an NFT called Loud Punks, where you can get lifetime VIP access to all their shows. And Ronald Deloise is the guy who's a part of that, and their like Web3 head guy. And so if you listen to the RWA Segments podcast, you're going to have to go back. The link's in the description down below or in my bio on X, but we go over a lot of stuff, and his thesis, they still hold all of the ETH from the mint, and he's a huge believer in ETH, Web3, wanting to offer something for fans. And you have these businesses that are out there that, sure, when they're meant to happen, there could be some speculation around there. But if you want to go to those, the speculation parts kind of die down after a little bit, right? Like these came out a year or two ago, whatever. But I think if there's like actual utility people want, the speculation kind of goes away. So it's like a very, I don't know, tricky discussion, because there's so many nuances to things that I feel we just automatically make blank statements about something just to say, hey, the space is bad because X, Y, and Z. A lot of people we know on there. Oh, wait, no, sorry. That was from earlier. My bad. Excuse me for reading the post there. But yeah, so I don't know. Interesting post again, but also thinking gotta be some positive at the time as well. All right, that's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. We went for 40 minutes. Triple double banger. Happy Friday, by the way. We didn't get to say that. So hope you're good. I mean, let me just look at the crypto charts. Global crypto market up 4.63% today. Not bad. Bitcoin up 4.9. Ethereum 4.4. XRP 3.2. Wow, XRP really fell. Goodness gracious. Look at this. If we go back to the start of this year, we were up to 3 350, 320, 327. Now we're back at $2. That's what I'm saying. We're all here. We've already like made our allocations and friggin' jealous of the people that have capital. They're like, yeah, I don't know if we want to touch this stuff because things are down. We have so many reasons from seeing every single day something new and exciting happening. All the people that are painfully addicted to this, right? Every single day you check the timeline. It's what we do. True. And the price is right. At least it seems that way. Again, you compare them things to stocks trying to rechange the world. If these agents take over, I don't know. I'm excited about things, but obviously you got to find what is going to get adopted. If only we found Bitcoin before it went crazy. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Peace.